Good evening, y'all, and welcome back to the Unrehearsed Podcast. It's me, Taj. It's having my very first episode with you all, and I'm just really excited. I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you're having a wonderful month so far, and that you are ready to get a little history of Taj. So, a little bit about myself. I grew up in the Midwest. I am from Michigan, born and raised. My favorite team, just for any speculations, is the Wolverines. Football season is just around the corner, y'all, and I can't wait. I grew up there and growing up in the Midwest was fun. It was a little bit slow, and to be honest, I had no idea kinda like how slow it was until I got to travel, and I did travel a lot as a teenager and a child. Um, I am the youngest of 7 children, and every summer we would go to the South because both my mom and my dad were born in Mississippi. And we would go to our family reunion and visit our cousins, and I have so many memories. Like, my one of my favorite childhood memories was going on a hike with my cousins, and granted, like, I grew up in the Midwest, and even though it was a little bit of a rural area, it still was more like city and urban, and when we would travel south, that was like country, country. And so we went and we were walking around this trail and we found this like little creek and we thought it would be fun to stick our feet in the water. Now, granted, again, there's a lot of venomous snakes that are in the water holes cooling off or whatever. And we put our feet into the water, and then my cousin immediately pulls her feet out of the water and says, I think I felt a snake. Now, something you need to remember about me is that I am deathly afraid of snakes. And it's probably this memory that really triggered why I am so deathly afraid of snakes. And so I pull my feet out of the water because, my mama didn't raise no fool. And her sister comes and she gets a stick and she was like, oh no, it's definitely a snake. We look and it was like all black. So one of the most venomous snakes in the South are the black cottonmouth snakes. And for the graces of God, it didn't bite any of us. But I remember running back to where our picnic area was, full speed. I think I just barely put my shoes on, socks were in my pocket. You had your shorts and your family reunion shirt on, and we ran all the way back to the picnic area and then was like, "Oh my God, that was crazy." And then it just makes me think of how many memories I had, and I can think of the color of the shirt for that year that was really cool, and that was really fun, and that was really exciting. And so the other part that I loved about growing up in Michigan was the nighttime. So we had a curfew of coming home when the streetlights came on. And being that Michigan is a more northern state, it didn't get dark until about 10 o'clock in the summertime. So we'd be out all day riding our bikes and having fun and having freeze cups. If you know, you know. And then when the streetlights would come home, you hear your mom calling you from the porch and, you park your bike in the back. And then I also vividly remember the lightning bugs, and they would just be filled all around like our porch and our front yard. And it was so many things and memories like this that I didn't realize were so unique until I moved here to California. And I mean, there's so many cool things about nature in childhood, but I don't particularly remember seeing lightning bugs here. And so that is some of where I came from. I am the youngest of all the 7 children. I do say youngest because you only call me the baby if you're ready to fight. I have a plethora of nieces and nephews, and I am a deeply, deeply family-oriented person. I think growing up in the Midwest and then transitioning to California as a adult, I moved here when I was 21 years old. I had just turned 21, and one of my sisters was pregnant with her first daughter. And she had a condition called hyperemesis and meant that she had pregnancy sickness throughout her whole pregnancy, morning, noon, and night. So I came out here to help her, to get through the pregnancy, to welcome her little baby, who is now 18 years old, which is crazy, and in school, living her best life in college. And so that was what brought me from Michigan here to California. And that transition was so pivotal for me in my life, being that I was 21 years old and moved from a small, like rural town to more of a city. It was suburbs, I would say. It's not like I lived in San Francisco, but I definitely lived, the Bay Area is much faster than anything in Michigan. So then I was here and I began my studies. I was in college in Michigan, but then I finished here and found my passion, which is early childhood education. So once I moved to California in the fall of 2007, I had the opportunity to work at a school with young children. And that opened up this very long, beautiful, robust career in early childhood education. It is such a passion of mine. Some of my favorite things that I love about 3-year olds, 4-year olds, 5-year olds is them telling you something for the first time and seeing the world through their eyes. On the first day of school, I always like to put out a table with some paper and some crayons. Just, as you're welcoming students in and their families, and you're, getting through the tears and the fears of the first day, they have something to kind of write a picture or a note or anything. Without fail, there's always a student who reaches for a crayon that is the same color as the paper that they're going to color on. And they automatically think that that crayon is broken. And they put it back, oh, it doesn't work. And I said, oh, I'm sorry it doesn't work. Have you tried another paper? And they kind of look at me and they kind of look at the paper and they say, hmm. Sometimes they use their friend's paper to test the theory, which can cause a little bit of drama, but nothing we can't handle. And then it's like this world that lightens up for them, that the crayon is in fact not broken, but it is actually, they have to rotate their materials when they have the same crayon to the same color paper. And I think out of all 20 years, I see that experience, not always on the first day of school, but always within the first opportunity of a student learning something. And that is what just lightens up my day. So, from studying early childhood education, I taught in the classroom for 15 years, which was fun, exciting, exhausting, overwhelming. I did was teaching in the classroom during the pandemic, and that gave me a whole new set of skills. One, talking on camera, because I would record my read alouds, my circle times, my anything. Another really fun memory that I have from teaching in the pandemic is we were in the middle of our bug unit when our classrooms in school got shut down. And we had just gotten caterpillars. So I brought the caterpillars home with me because I wasn't sure if we were going to be gone 1 week or 2 weeks. I had no idea that we would be home for months and months at that time. But I wanted to make sure I brought them so that I could document the growth of the caterpillars and include them in my lessons that I would record because Zoom for 3-year olds was a little bit tough, so we tried our best. But I will also record my circle times and everything. And luckily, there's a recording that is on a computer somewhere on my work computer of us releasing said butterflies that had transitioned from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And I was on a live Zoom call that was being recorded with my class. And I was in my backyard. I lived in a neighborhood and it had this huge backyard. And so I would go out there to do my teaching because I had roommates at the time. And when I was releasing the butterflies, y'all, The neighborhood birds must have got the memo that it was time for lunch because we're releasing the butterflies and then the birds start plucking them off as soon as they had like spread their wings and they were flying. And I remember having to play that off that the birds and the butterflies were playing tag and that the butterflies did in fact not get eaten, but they escaped with their mighty powerful wings, and just the look on my face, it was like sheer horror as I'm, like, watching them just be plucked off one by one, which was something that I still, am traumatized by to this day because, I think I felt like we really created a bond. I have brought them home, I have saved them from a pandemic, and now they have just, they lived a very short life. But anyways, from there, from teaching in the pandemic, shortly after that, I went to administration. I started off as a instructional coach, which then quickly transitioned into supporting more on the admin side versus the coaching side. And then I became the director of our program and have been the director for the last 2.5 years, which has been a whirlwind. It has been exciting, fun, challenging, and something I don't think I would like to repeat again in my career. So, something that I get asked all the time is, do I love my job? Would I go back to the classroom? Am I going to stay in education until I retire? And I think at this point in my life where I am, and where here are my thoughts. I love the classroom. I actually got the privilege of teaching in a classroom last week. We had some staff members that had been out. We had a lot of cold and flu going around still, a little lingering. And I got to spend time in a classroom and I had a ball. It was a lot of fun, but it's also exhausting and tiring. And I remember being in the classroom and that flow and that vibe. And it will always be a part of something that is deep for me. But when I left, I felt like it was time. And it was like, no, I've been here long enough. And now I'm coming to this point where I think that me being an administrator is hitting that same threshold. I went into the role with excitement and joy, and I felt like it was something that I've learned so many skills, so many transferable skills. But if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, like it's time for a transition. And I feel like it's going to be a great transition. Now we have our podcast here. I love spending like the weeks with you guys. I've been curious about like education consulting and getting into that a little bit more and sharing expertise. I really enjoyed coaching and would love to, have an opportunity to maybe work with some directors that are new and they're building a program, they're building a home program, something like that. But am excited to like let you guys know that I am making a big transition in life. And in July will be my last month in the school system. And like I'm ending right at that 20 years, which I know y'all thinking, how could you? Girl, you don't look a day over. You know what? That's because I'm not. But I'm so excited to announce that I also turned 40 this year. And with all of these transitions comes this opportunity for growth, reflection, redirection, and just adventures that I have been excited to welcome into my life. So that is where I am career wise. I think I am looking forward to the next steps. I have known for I maybe like 2 years that it was time to transition, honestly, out of education for me personally, due to just feeling like I had plateaued on where I was learning and developing my skills. And I just felt like it was time to explore and not be afraid. What are the things that you really want to go after? If you had the opportunity to make a big life pivot, would you take it? Or would you just kind of like hold back? Or what's something that's helped you transition into the next career path that you have? I know for me, I am looking forward to um, the travel, the cooking. I am looking forward to the sleep. Fun fact, administrators don't get the whole summer off like teachers do. We actually work a lot in the summer, or you go to trainings and you attend a lot of meetings. And so that you are on top of your game. And when your staff comes, and then when the students and the family comes, then you are able to really usher and guide everybody to the places that they need to be. And so I am really looking forward to some trips. I'm going to go see my family in Michigan, which is going to be a very exciting trip. My nephew is graduating from high school, and we try to make every graduation because it's just such important transition in life. Then I'm going to be doing some World Cup traveling locally around here. And then the other trip I'm gonna go to in the fall, I'm going to Hawaii, which is gonna be a lot of fun, just a nice reset, and get to travel and see what people do when I was normally at work. That always fascinates me, like, even when I have a day off, to just be walking around in the middle of the day, going to lunch. I love all of those things. So, I am looking forward to this next chapter in my life, which is this calm exciting area for me to develop some skills that I have been wanting to develop for so long. And for me to just be myself, y'all. Like, being an administrator, I have to keep, a certain, like a portfolio, a certain profile, like on your social medias and like out in public. I run into families all the time in my personal life, at the laundromat with my boo, at the grocery store. And now I feel like I get to tap into this other part of me, which is like the creative, exciting type. So, couple questions for you guys this week after getting my little backstory of a Midwest girl turned Cali. And to answer the question of which one do I like more than the other, I'm going to have to say the West Coast is aligned with me because of the winters and the severe thunderstorms. Those are some stories for you too. I've been through 2 tornadoes, one as a young child and then another one as a teenager, and that all you need to do is watch the Weather Channel and see those severe storms, and you will get exactly what I'm talking about. But I am very grateful we weren't hurt, our home wasn't damaged, but it was definitely loud and scary. But where are you in your life right now? And what opportunities are you gonna be taking? Because 'Cause I'm just really curious to know, my people. I wanna know. And then for next week's episode, it's going to be so exciting. Giselle's going to be taking us along her trip in communication with her family. And something I am so excited to see is where her motherland neighborhoods look like, the food. That's the thing I love most about traveling is the food. Okay? Like, just bring me back whatever won't perish on the plane. And she gets to have this really cool conversation with her grandmother. And her grandmother is turning 80, no, 95, y'all. She's celebrating her 95th birthday. And like, what such a huge, important opportunity to be able to have this great conversation with your generations and just see what her grandma has to say. I have a feeling she got some tea, y'all. And then she's just gonna show us what she did, what adventures, what because Giselle's an adventure girl. Her motto of the year is "Let's go." So I'm looking forward to that trip. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys the week after, and I cannot wait to hear where you are in your life, what transitions, what meaningful opportunities you have, and then what are you looking forward to? Because that's something that I want to know. You can message us in the comments, hit us up on Instagram, just let us know, what are you looking forward to? And finally, if you would like to be on the podcast as one of our guests, sharing where you are in life, what you got going on, and your community that you're building, hit us up. We love to host. We love to have people come and just express what they're doing in life because it's a fun adventure every single day. Well, all right, y'all. Like I said, you were with me today. It's Taj. I hope you enjoyed the history. I hope you enjoyed this little update from me about what's happening in life. And there's going to be more to come. Like, I feel pretty comfortable having the stage today. And so I look forward to having another opportunity where it can just be us, y'all. Well, bye now. Have a good week.